The following episode is brought to you by Poison City Brewing, proud makers of Durban Poison Cannabis Lager, the beer that invites you to live your poison.
Welcome back to another episode of Sludge Underground. I have the guys from Riddlebreak with me tonight. And yeah, guys, introduce yourselves.
Roushan, ladies first.
Hi, I'm Roushan Fanikak. I am the bassist of Riddlebreak, graphic designer by day. Yeah, that's pretty much me right now. I'm just a homebody because of the whole lockdown, so not much to it. Jade?
All right, so I am Jade. I am the vocalist of Riddlebreak. I am a courier operations worker during the day, currently essential services worker, so I've been working my ass off throughout this whole thing. And normally party animal by weekend, but lately that's not a thing anymore, so yeah.
The parties aren't so much a thing, and I feel you on that essential worker part as a banker by day, so I feel you, man.
Oh, yeah, fun.
Oh.
So guys, I've been a fan of you for quite some time. I've been enjoying your music for quite a while, honestly. I think since 0 Point Break, I think the song is called, since you guys released the music video for that. And
oh, yeah.
The first time I actually got to watch you guys was, funny enough, I'm from Joburg, but the first time I got to watch you was in Durban at Pit at the Polo. And you guys did not disappoint. So tell us a bit more about your music. What kind of genre you guys are? For people who may not have heard you, what would you guys describe yourselves as?
Well, we're kind of like a hybrid between progressive and metalcore. But we have a lot of different elements in our music. I mean, there's anything from like some tiny hip hop beats to, there's thrash moments. Pretty much. Tracks. Yeah, so there's kind of any genre that you're into, or any subgenre that you're into, we kind of incorporate a little bit of that into our music as much as possible. I think because most of us are from such different backgrounds, we all like different music. So yeah, it's very difficult actually to kind of put us in a box, but I think that would be the best way.
No, it's really cool because you guys also have that sort of unique aesthetic. I don't see many metal bands with the violinists, but it creates such a unique sound. It's really, really entertaining to both listen to and to watch live. I mean, how did that come about? How did you guys end up sort of meeting? How did Riddlebreak become a thing?
You first, John. You were the first member originally.
Shame, you go for it. I already ran my mouth on the last question.
So I kind of went to my first ever metal gig to go watch a band called Mazira, and this was nearly 9 years ago. I think I was about 17, turning 18, and I was enjoying the bands, and suddenly I met Gareth, our guitarist, at the bar, and he's like, "Hey, I like the way you headbang. Can you scream?" So I just looked in, I was like, "I can pig squeal." So he said, "No, that's a start." So then I joined the band. But when I joined, Gareth, Roushan, Gordon, they were already members. So as far as the history goes, I think Roushan would actually be able to tell you more about that.
Yeah, so Gareth, I think, is the only original founding member left in the band. We actually had a drummer who's now in Portugal and a vocalist who's now in the UK. And Gareth started off with them as like a kind of an indie band, if you can believe it. But from there I joined because they desperately needed a bassist. Like they'd had a few bassists before, but the last one stole their bass amp, so she didn't leave a good impression. So I filled in for a while. I hadn't played in like 3 years when I started with Riddlebreak, and then so it was initially just meant to be a temporary thing, and then I took to the stage and the bug bit me. So yeah, like that was me in. And then our drummer and guitarists left to their various countries, and then Gordon joined, and then Julian joined, and then Jade also. Oh no, actually Jade first before Julian. I think Julian's our, other than Laura, he's our second guitarist, and he's also like the second newest member. Laura is the newest member.
No, that's very interesting though, to like see where you guys originated. It's like you're quite right. I would not have imagined it as I can't imagine Gareth in the indie scene, to be honest. And it's really cool. Also, like how bassists are such a rare commodity. I mean, second only to drummers, really.
Yeah, no, that's a true story. But I think drummers are a bit harder to find. Like every good drummer is in at least 5 bands. Luckily, we have Gordon to ourselves. But
I think there was that meme going around where it's like with the whole COVID thing, please protect any metal drummers because you might affect like 30 to 40 bands at a time if one of them has to get, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, also now that I think of it, the rest of the band actually met at Copa because they were studying together. So Gareth and Gordon were studying together, and then Julian was like a really good friend of ours. And he I don't know if you know this, but he used to play bass for Second Guest back in the day. So he's also actually a bassist.
Isn't he playing on a 7 or an 8 string at the moment, like in Riddlebreak?
Yeah.
So he's basically a bassist anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Bassist with more strings. Who plays chords.
Now, with the name Riddlebreak, where did that come from? Was there a sort of a deeper meaning behind the name? Was it something that just sort of came out and you guys worked around it? Because I see you guys have done those things like cracking the code and all those sort of things. How did those come about? I'm assuming Gareth has a lot to do with this. Or no, Julian, you said Julian is the one who teaches English.
Funny enough, not.
No, not really. I mean, he was kind of in the idea of the cipher and the breaking the riddles part. But funny enough, like none of us actually know where the name Riddlebreak comes from. It was our old drummer who, well, I believe the story goes that the old drummer, the old vocalist, and Gareth all wrote names that they thought would be cool on a piece of paper, and they kind of passed it around to people, and people had to vote. And then the name Riddlebreak was actually the old drummer's name, and I guess it just stuck through the years.
That's interesting. Like, would you given this like sort of, how do I say, impression of something, especially considering what you guys have done with the whole break the riddle and stuff. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so we're trying to think of like a good campaign that would encapsulate what we're all about, and we stand for breaking the status quo, going against gender normative roles, so just kind of like breaking boundaries in general. And, so that's what the name Riddlebreak has come to embody. And when we were thinking of a marketing campaign to sort of just get people engaged during this time when we're not having shows, we don't have any live footage to show people, recording is difficult. So we thought of like this would be a fun way to engage people and just to get them to know what we're more about. And so it was more about breaking the riddle in terms of lyrics. And also we're huge nerds. So all the construct languages came from like Klingon, Dothraki, Avatar even. Yeah, so it all comes from our collective interests.
Yeah, no, they were quite elaborate.
Yeah, because credit to anyone
every day we had
out.
people asking. Every day I had like people in my Facebook DMs asking me like for hints or if they were close, and some dude even sent me like a piece of paper that he'd done like an equation on, trying to figure out what lyrics were. It was so funny to have to deal with.
Yeah, that dude went very deep.
Yeah, but it's cool because it means people actually engaged with it, which is what we liked and what we wanted out of it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's so cool though. Like I thought it was one of the most entertaining things. Like it really, really fascinated me.
Yeah, well, we have our manager Devo to thank for that, because he also like helped us a lot in coming up with the actual cipher. So yeah, he played a massive role in that.
You guys recently, I think what was the most recent song that you guys released was The Hog, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a single? It's for an upcoming album or EP or?
It's for an upcoming album. We still have a lot of work to do as far as that's concerned. But yes, it is for an upcoming album where I think the general idea of the album is going to be based around monsters. Not in like an actual monster sense, but you'll see when it comes around.
No, I look forward to that, quite honestly, because The Hog has been fantastic. I've enjoyed that song so much.
Wrote that song for Julian's pet hedgehog originally. Honestly, I had to go onto Wikipedia to find interesting facts about hedgehogs and then rework it so that it sounded like a metal song. That's pretty much how the lyrics came to be for some of it.
That is not what I would have expected. Jade, you do most of the songwriting, or is it the lyric writing, or is it a collective effort as a band?
It's a collective. Everyone kind of puts in little bits here, little bits there. Even musically, like even if I can't contribute to like the actual writing part, but if we're writing a song and I have an idea and I think a pause here would be cool or a pause here would be, so none of us like do one thing. It is very much a collective, even with the lyrics.
It's just a case of you guys coming together and creating whatever sort of flows.
Yeah. Plus, it also normally starts with Julian being like, "Here's a ridiculous riff. Now make words to this," and then I have to sit down with him and be like, "How? Help me."
Julian, yeah, he writes a lot of the song, like, but he'll write bass, drums, guitars, everything. He's almost like a composer in a sense, and then we take the individual parts and then adapt it to our own playing style or maybe add our own flavor to it. But Gareth has also come up with quite a few cool songs. And then we just kind of sit with each other and we're like, no, okay, we hate this part, let's change it to that. Or, so we come together and we workshop it.
Fantastic, Jade. I'm just thinking about like how, because a lot of the stuff that you guys write tends to come off quite complicated. There's a lot of interesting timings and stuff like that. I can't imagine that being easy to write lyrics to initially, or is it something that you've grown used to?
It's something I've grown used to, but it's definitely not something that was easy to get used to. Especially with you were saying our first song we released, that 0 Point Energy.
Yeah.
Now, the way Julian wrote that and the way he explained it to me the first time is like, yeah, the time signature for this song is 27:16, which was the length of the entire riff. And I just couldn't wrap my head around what the hell I was supposed to do for this weird time signature he came up with. Well, over time, I've gotten used to it, but I've also found that listening to bands that do weird time signatures and stuff has helped a lot as well. Because otherwise, I'd still probably be struggling with writing that song originally.
But now you were saying that they kind of found you at watching a band and like the way you headbang. You weren't really familiar with doing vocals. Did you have any other musical experience at that point?
School concerts.
So you were just you were just pushed straight into the deep end. You were just throwing, here you go.
Pretty much. That's pretty much my life, though. Pretty much everything I do, it's like full force or nothing. It's really weird. It's not even like I try. It just works out this way.
I love that, though. Literally first band and, not even like a simple 4/4 or 3/4 or something. It's just straight, cool. So math. Here you go, work it out. That's amazing. Yeah. And credit to you for adapting, because in all honesty, I would have expected far more experience for the level of work that you put out.
I know, but it's been a very long time doing it. I can be very honest and say in the beginning I was terrible. I still don't count myself too highly, but I do know I'm better than I was. But no, it was a very, very rough start. I didn't just jump into this like thinking I was going to be great at it. I think my first show, I actually spent most of the time staring at the floor and screaming into a microphone.
It sounds about right for most people, I guess. You guys have an incredible stage presence. Is that just something that comes from all of you sort of naturally as an energy, or is it something that you guys actively work on? Is the performance side of it something that you guys actively work on, that you practice, or is it just more of your own true nature?
little bit of both, I'd say, Roushan.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of both. We feed off a lot of the audience's energy, but it is something that we've also put a lot of hard work into, because it doesn't always come naturally the first few times. Like you get onto stage and it can be quite daunting. So it is something you sort of have to practice, but then, like we've been at it now for about 10 years. So now, it comes more naturally, and, it's not so scary anymore. But yeah, there are times that we kind of practice maybe a specific thing that we'd like to do, or but yeah.
Because the main thing we basically made up, like, as a rule is, if someone's headbanging, just try and follow them. Like, don't do the whole up and down, out of sync thing. That's basically the only rule we kind of came up with. Is just keep eyes on each other.
I would expect, considering how complicated some of your timing is that headbanging out of sync generally just can have the potential to throw everyone off.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Like that one dude who just doesn't clap on time, but far more complicated.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential to do that. I think the way you counteract that is just sort of practicing the songs really well, so that you know everything, and then it just becomes second nature. But there have been many times where you try and headbang and it just throws you off because somebody else isn't doing it right.
Yeah, no, I've experienced some interesting things on stage. What would you say has been your favorite embarrassing moment on stage? If either the two of you are willing to recount those stories.
No, sure. Punch myself in the mouth.
Didn't you also hit yourself on? I think you smashed your face into the one day.
Smashed my face into my knee the one day. What else? There was a time we played in Botswana, and I put my foot up on the monitor, and these two lovely ladies in the front decided to tie my shoes for me while I was screaming.
Sounds like a win. Like, I don't know, or did they tie them together?
Oh, no, they just tied it all nicely, but I intentionally had them untied. But it's fine. It was one of the most interesting moments I've ever had on stage.
Yeah, like I'm not sure whether to classify that as a win or not. Like, that's actually,
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's embarrassing. That's kind of cool. I mean, my only thing that I've done is I have cut Gareth and Julian open with my bass, so that they played on stage. Yeah, not my finest moment.
Sounds more like a warning, not so much embarrassing.
Yeah, it's more like don't headbang too close.
Why we call her bass the vampire.
I find it funny though, like that also it tends to be bassists who tend to bash people with their instrument. It's probably because of the longer neck.
Yeah, and also mine's are particularly sharp on the end. So yeah, it's a longer neck. Also, Gareth is like a wrecking ball on stage. So quite often I'm literally just standing there, and either he or Julian will kind of headbang into me as well. Like once my hair got wrapped around Julian's strap because he came really close and the two of us were headbanging, and then my hair just wrapped around the nut of his strap, and as I pulled my head away, it wouldn't move. So I had to spend the next riff with my head like glued to his guitar while he was playing. And like I've also ripped out his hair a few times.
I gotta give credit for the dedication to stick through with all of that going on. Like, I guess that's impressive. Now, what are your guys' plans for the rest of this lockdown? Do you guys plan to do anything more? Are you looking at doing more of the ciphers or the breaking the riddles? And how has the lockdown in general been treating you guys?
Lockdown's been depressing. Like, it sucks not being able to see my friends more than anything else. Like, the booze thing sucks, the no partying thing sucks, but I just miss my friends more than anything. We do have some very awesome things coming. So all I'm going to say is, because I'm not sure if we can actually say anything or not, all I'm just going to say is keep an eye out.
Yeah, check out our social media. We'll be announcing something soon. But in the meantime, like during lockdown, we have released a violin playthrough, and I did a bass playthrough of The Hog as well. And yeah, and we're also going to try record more, like if we can get ourselves to studio. I know it's like a bit of a mission right now, so we are trying, but it's the lockdown makes it very difficult to like be in spaces with other people. So we are going to carry on recording during the year. We were meant to release our album actually now, but yeah, there was just no way that we were going to finish it because of lockdown. So that's been pushed more either towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, depending on how things go. But yeah, and it's been a bit, like from my side, it's been a bit sad because every time I pick up a guitar to practice, it just reminds me how much I'm not allowed to play in front of an audience, which really, really sucks.
I really do feel you on that one. As like it gets really depressing for a lot of musicians, and a lot of them are really, really struggling out there. Because for a lot of them, it's release. It's required. It's helps their mental states, their emotional state.
I know exactly what you mean by that. I have so much suppressed rage right now, which is good because when I get back on stage, I'm gonna break something. But for now, there's just a lot of pent up anger that isn't getting released, and I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of musicians out there currently. I would say definitely share your pain with that one.
It's a release, man. We don't have that release, so what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm actually quite shocked that I even missed these playthrough videos because I am subscribed to your channel, but YouTube just decided to not let me know. And so you guys say that you're planning on releasing a couple more of these as time goes by throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. Obviously, like access to resources, and that will determine how many and when. But yeah.
No, that's really cool. Like, I honestly can't wait to see them. I guess I'm definitely going to be watching them when we're done here because I have, like I was saying, I can't believe I actually missed them in the first place.
Yeah, they're on YouTube. You can also, I think the link will be on our Facebook page.
Oh no, I'm literally already sitting on your channel. Like I'm already looking like yeah. No, I don't play with these sort of things. I just I'm quite the fanboy, and like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed your band for quite some time. Now, what would you guys say has been, now moving away from sort of embarrassing moments, but what would you guys say has been highlights as in your time in Riddlebreak? Like any shows that stand out, achievements that stand out, and things like that?
I'd say there's quite a bunch. Like we've been nominated quite a few times for the Summers. Like one of the standout moments I'd say was winning Best EP for Collapsa, and also being peer voted the most influential band of 2016.
Oh yeah, that made me cry.
Yeah. And then yeah, we've opened for quite a few internationals. Like some of our highlights are like we were on the Crank lineup for Periphery, for Six,
Yes.
for 36 Crazy Fists. Later on, we opened for 36 Crazy Fists when they came into it again. Also Fit for a King, and I think Jade's favorite one is probably Attila.
Holy yes. That was the greatest weekend I've ever. I can't even make words. It was good. It was fun.
Did you
I showed from my ass
you
in the
got to meet
moment
the
of
guys?
embarrassment. Yeah, we did. The day before, I showed him my butt, basically, because I have a belt that has his catchphrase on it. And I was really drunk, and I was like, hey, Franz, look at this. And I, showed him my ass. And I do not regret it.
Yeah,
so
they
left an impression.
Impressed, but it was so worth it.
No, it was worth it. I hope I left an impression.
No, that's absolutely great. And those are some really interesting bands to have played with. Is really great. Like for me personally, I would have died at the opportunity to play with Fit for a King. That's
yeah, they were so cool.
Yeah, they were insane. Like that bassist and the way he jumps around. Like I'm not fit enough for that. I'm not fit enough to watch him play.
What would you guys say as as a metal band that's doing quite well, and the progress that you've been making? For any of the guys sort of starting out in this genre, what sort of advice would you give them in terms of how they should present themselves and how they should essentially combat, marketing themselves to make more of themselves?
The little bit of advice I have is I say, let's say you play your first big show. Don't let that get to your head. Don't think because you played one massive show that now means you're big and means you can act like a dick. people want you to be a person. People know that you're a person. They see you as larger in life on stage, but if you're a nice person, it actually really helps your image. And that's pretty much what I've learned throughout my 10 years of doing this. Is just stay genuine, stay yourself. Don't let it go to your head.
I'd also say, like, just support each other through everything. Like, one of the things we did when we were starting out and, like, still try and do to this day is, you know, when you're at a show, like, support the other bands. And even now, during this time when there aren't shows, like, share other people's stuff, support each other, because you never know where your next fan's gonna come from, your next organizer who's seeing you is gonna come from. You know, you don't know what connections other people have, but also, you know, it's about building the scene together. I'd also say, like, social media is extremely important, because people want to get that glimpse into who you are. You know, people love seeing the people behind the music, and I think that's very important. It's just, you know, letting them see that and see that you're also just a normal human at the end of the day, and they can make that connection. And yeah, then just keep at it. Like, I know we've had a few setbacks throughout our career, you know, when, you know, we were feeling really low about things, and, you know, sometimes shows are not promoted that well, or, you know, something happens, there's another show the same night, you know, it's South Africa. You know, so sometimes you have two people at your show, and you have to just keep your head up and perform for those two people as if they're 2,000 people.
That's some really, really good advice from both of you. I mean, that's something that a lot of people can take to heart. And I wholeheartedly agree with both of those points. Like, now, I'm talking about supporting, you know, you were talking about supporting other bands and whatnot. What would you, between the two of you, what would you say are some of your favorite local bands? Some of the guys that you've enjoyed playing with the most?
One of my all-time favorites has to be Borgasm. Borgasm is hands down one of my favorites.
You're not the first person to mention that.
They have so much energy. I don't know, they're so great, man. And I once had the privilege of being asked to join them on stage to do a cover of Killing in the Name of with Heine as on vocals, and like that was probably one of the coolest moments ever. Apart from playing with international bands, I still actually hold that moment above most others. So yeah, I'd say Borgasm for me.
Yeah, my personal favorite is Oh God. I know they're not quite metal. They're more like post rock, but honestly, like, one of my favorite South African bands to this day. Like, every time I listen to them, I just get goosebumps. They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Oh God are really, really entertaining to listen to. I think my favorite is Hungry Ghosts. Like, they've got such a cool vibe, such a cool sound to them. I'd actually love to have a chat with them as well.
Yeah, and they're such great guys as well. They're so nice and, like, supportive of everyone. Yeah, they have, over the years, they've become really good friends of ours as well. Just because they're just such nice people.
Yeah, that's great, because I find that a lot of the time as you go, that the bands that you end up playing with become you would say your first fans, your friends, and all these sort of things. They have a huge impact on how far you could potentially go, because, you know, if they're willing to help out and you guys are friends, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about just, you know, making those connections, and, like, friendships can take you really far. And I mean, not to say that you should make friends just because they can take you far, but you'll find that the more people you support and the more people you help out, like, the more willing they are to help you out. And, you know, you start off, like, when we were newbies, like, watching Facing the Gallows, who are also another incredible South African band. And, you know, we never thought in a million years that we would share the stage with them. And, you know, then we got to talking to them. I studied with Brian Binneman. I had no idea that he was in Facing the Gallows until like a few years later, when I actually hit the metal scene. But yeah, and then later on, like, just chatting to them and and now like seeing them also on the same lineup is still very surreal. Like we never in a million years thought we'd play on the same stage, but like it's happened.
It's honestly probably one of the greatest feelings is, sharing the stage and making an impact. And it's honestly, music is something else, performing is something else, and the community has the potential to be something great so much of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And like the thing is, we can't afford to be elitist at this point in time because our community is a small one, and we need to stand together and like help each other out.
No, definitely. I agree with that 100%. Now, what I wanted to ask is, guys, in closing, do you guys have sort of any shout outs, and where can people find you guys on social media as a band and personally as well, if there's anything that you guys want to push?
Well, I want to shout out to the rest of our band, the two men man down with man flu. Stay strong. Jules and Laura, hope you guys are also doing good. And yeah, miss you all. You too, Rue.
Yeah, miss you too, dude.
And as far as social media is involved, we have Facebook, we got Instagram. Yeah, find us everywhere. Over to you, Rue.
Yeah, I think Jade pretty much covered it. Yeah, we're on YouTube. If you want to find our music, we're on every major streaming platform. And yeah, just keep an eye on our socials because we've got some exciting news coming up. Yeah, we're really happy to share with you.
All right, cool. And then one of the last things is we close off with one of the tracks from the band. What song would you guys like us to close this episode out
on? That's a tough question.
I'd say one of our newer ones, like either Allegiant or The Hug.
Yeah, agreed.
Your pick.
We'll leave that choice in your hands.
To be honest, the breakdown in Allegiant is one of my favorite ever. So that's
Allegiant it is.
Fantastic, guys. It's been Riddlebreak. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come chat with us. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
No, this was fun. Thanks a lot.
No stress. Sorry, like Zoom has started this thing where it starts limiting how long the meetings are, and it's literally about to cut out. So,
oh my God.
Guys, thank you so much.
Good.
I really, really appreciate you
man.
guys taking the time to chat with me.
Brothers, stand together.